All right. Well, good afternoon. Welcome to another Wednesday webinar. It's Fleming. Um, it's 12 p.m. We're gonna give it 2 more minutes, and then we'll start sharp at 12:02. We'll just give it 1 more minute. All right, Amy, are you good to go?
Yeah, good to go.
Okay, awesome. Well, again, good afternoon. Welcome to another Wednesday webinar. Today's webinar is going to be our financial aid webinar. Amy, if you don't mind, if you want to go to the next slide, I'm going to introduce myself and Amy. So, again, my name is Romina. I'm one of the student recruitment representative at Fleming College. Today we have Amy. She is our financial aid officer here. I'm going to do a brief bio for Amy. She is a Fleming grad of 2005 from Hotel and Resort Management. In 2006, she earned a bachelor's degree in Australia through a transfer agreement with Fleming. She has been at Fleming for 22 years, including her studies and part-time work. She has worked for almost 20 years full-time. She's worked in every department within the registrar office, admissions, student accounts, records, and financial aid. And she's also a proud mom of Felix and a fur mom to 2 dogs. So we can get started. I'm going to do our land acknowledgement first. Amy, if you don't mind going to the next one.
Mhm.
Thank you. Fleming College respectfully acknowledges that we are situated on the Mississauga lands and the traditional territory covered by the Williams Treaties. Chimigwech to the Mississauga people for allowing us to continue our work in your territory. Um, Amy, you can go to the next slide so we can watch a quick video.
Pick up the vibe, always lit, even outside. Smile on my face, don't kill my high. Never stagnate, just passing by. Can't stay still, don't ask me why. Where to next, let time decide. Me and the world see eye to eye. Life's a journey, enjoy the ride. Get vibey with it. See me on the deck, we live in the mix. Get with the bass one time, let it make the room go crazy, cause we don't miss. I just go with the flow. Pick yourself up if the mood gets low. Sometimes chill, take it slow. Any bad vibes, hit the road. Hit the road. Any bad vibes, hit the road. Chill, take it slow. Any bad vibes, hit the road. Hit the road. Chill, take it slow. Any bad vibes, hit the road.
All right, awesome. Thank you. Yeah, so that is pretty much it for me today. I'm gonna actually give the mic back to Amy. She's gonna take it over.
Perfect. Thanks, Romina.
Thank
So
you.
this afternoon, I am going to talk about financial aid and the Ontario Student Assistance Program, also known as OSAP. So what I'll cover this afternoon will be what is OSAP, the eligibility criteria for OSAP and how to apply, some important notes and tips, our bursary and scholarships opportunities here at Fleming, and then we'll finish off talking briefly about our work-study program. So what is OSAP? OSAP is the Ontario Student Assistance Program, and it is funded by our federal and provincial governments. It includes two types of funding, both loans, which are repayable funding, and grant, that is non-repayable funding. To calculate your financial need and your funding with OSAP, they look at your educational costs. Those are things like your tuition, books, and living expenses. And then the contributions that you have. So student, parent, spouse contributions, scholarships and bursaries, and then any study period income that you earn while you're attending. So the eligibility criteria for OSAP is that you must be an Ontario citizen, permanent resident, or protected person in Ontario. You must have been a resident of Ontario for at least the last 12 consecutive months, enrolled in an approved post-secondary institution, which Fleming is, and in an approved program. A full-time student is 60% or more of a full-time course load for OSAP, and 40% or higher if you have a permanent disability documented on your OSAP account. So to apply for OSAP, it's an online application. Once you submit the application, there'll be some documents for you to print and sign. You're going to then upload, and then there's an electronic Master Student Financial Aid Agreement. This is all done online, and what it does is it creates an account with the National Student Loan Service Center, who's your funding lender, and it links your bank account so that your funding can be deposited directly into your bank account. To apply online, you're going to visit ontario.ca/OSAP. And if you're applying for the first time, you'll need to register as a new user using your social insurance number. There's only one account for OSAP per person because it is based on your SIN number. Once your profile is created, you'll receive your OAN number, which is your Ontario access number. Similar to your SIN, you can only have one OAN, and it is tied to your SIN. The deadline to apply for OSAP is 60 days prior to the end of your study period. And the applications for 26-27 are actually open now. So you can apply for any intake for the 26-27 academic year, fall, winter, or spring. So once you've submitted your OSAP application online, there'll be some documents for you to print and sign. Once the document is generated, it will have a password assigned to it, and the password is right beside the link to open the document. If you have a parent or spouse or legal guardian, they will also have pages that will have to be printed and signed. Please use only blue or black ink and ensure that all pages are signed and all pages of the document are returned to us, even if they're pages that don't have signatures on them. The Master Student Financial Assistance Agreement is something that will be shown under your print upload section of your OSAP application. You'll receive it within 3 to 5 business days of submitting your application, and you'll receive a link to the National Student Loan Service Center website. By clicking this link, you're going to create a profile using your banking information to verify who you are, or your Government of Canada ID if you have one with Service Canada or CRA. While you proceed with an MSFAA, you're going to provide them with a direction of funds. So which bank account you wish to have your funding deposited into after the tuition fees are paid directly to the school. And please note for this that the bank account does have to be in the student's name. It can't be in a parent or spouse's name. It does have to be in your name directly. So a couple of did you knows, your parents' information is required for OSAP funding if you have not been out of high school for 6 years for the provincial portion and 4 years for federal. While you're in full-time studies, OSAP is interest and payment free. Once studies are completed, your OSAP is payment free for 6 months. However, federal loans remain interest free, but provincial loans will accrue interest during that 6-month period. The OSAP aid estimator is available online, and this can help determine what funding you'll be eligible for. You can do this as a short estimator right now without having an application, but once you submit your application, you can also do an aid estimator with more specific information to your individual situation. The assessments for 26-27 should be out in late June. So if you submit your application by late June, you'll know how much funding you're eligible for. And it will have the breakdown of what your funding is with grants and loans. So a couple of important notes: apply early. So there are lots of different various situations that can delay your OSAP application for processing. So we always recommend applying as soon as possible. Verify that the direct deposit details you provide on your MSFAA with the National Student Loan Service Center are correct. It does ask you to key them in twice, but we always recommend students confirm again that these are correct. If the details are incorrect and they cannot provide a direct deposit, they will issue you a check, but it is delayed. OSAP funds are deposited in installments depending on federal and provincial funding, so you won't get your full amount all in one deposit. You'll get it over a few days. The funds are also distributed by the National Student Loan Service Center, not by your financial aid office. So how it works at the college is we confirm your enrollment no earlier than 10 days prior to the start of your semester. And then the National Student Loan Service Center sends the tuition or any fees owing for tuition or residence to the college directly, with the balance of tuition going to your bank account. Typically, students receive their funding in their bank account during the first week of classes. It's very important to pay your tuition deposit on time, and if your OSAP funding is not covering your full tuition, pay any outstanding tuition balance by the due date. Failure to pay by your due date can result in you losing your spot in the program. The other thing we strongly suggest is to budget. A lot of students are away from home for the first time, and you may not have had a large sum of money to have to budget and make it last for 4 to 8 months. So make sure you set up a budget. We're also here to help. We can go over this with you. And if you visit our website under financial aid, there is a budget interactive tool that you can use. So we have bursary and scholarship opportunities. So at Fleming, they're new for the 26-27 academic year is 50 entrance scholarships. There's nothing you need to do to apply for these. You're automatically considered as a domestic student. Bursary application for our general bursary financial need application opens on the 10th day of classes each semester, and you'll receive an email advising you when the application opens and closes, and it's available through your student portal. You'll see an Apply Now button only when the bursary application is available. There's also the new Ontario Learn and Stay grants available for 2 nursing programs at Fleming, and those applications are done through your OSAP account. On our student portal, under the Registrar's tab in Financial Aid, you'll see a list of external bursary and scholarship opportunities. This list is updated annually, and it shows other external opportunities that you may be eligible for. In addition to OSAP and funding through the college, you can look into student lines of credit through your bank, contact community services or organizations that you're a part of or you volunteer for to see if they have bursaries or scholarships available, and also inquire at your high school. There's a lot of bursary funding out there available for students that goes unutilized. So make sure you check out anywhere you're part of. You could also contact the employers for your parents and see if they offer funding for students. We also have the work study program at Fleming. So this provides employment opportunities to students. The following programs are available, which is the Fleming Work Study program, where you work up to 20 hours through the week during your semester. And then we have the summer employment program where students can work up to 35 hours a week full-time while they're on summer break. You can see the job postings through the Career Services website for both of these programs. So that concludes my presentation for financial aid. Our contact information is finaid@flemingcollege.ca. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to us. We're happy to answer anything with regards to OSAP, scholarships, bursaries, budgeting, or any support we can provide you. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Perfect. Okay, so now we do have a bit of time for a Q&A session. So Amy, if you don't mind, I'm gonna actually ask you a few questions and we can start from here. So
Sure.
just to give everyone a background, I used to work in financial aid in a financial aid office with like different institutions. And here in recruitment, we do get a lot of questions, I would say probably common questions. What I wanted to ask you, the first thing is so when do we recommend students usually applying? Because I know we usually tell them to apply 3 months in advance. So if someone is like applying a little bit later, and I know they have like 60 days until the program finishes, obviously we don't really recommend doing that.
Mhm.
Because I'm assuming if they do that, then they have to pay out of pocket and then we receive the
Correct.
money after. So it's gonna complicate things a little bit. So if someone is let's say starting in September, they still haven't applied um, by August. Is
Yep.
that okay? Like they can just go ahead and apply, and I would say
They
probably would.
can still go ahead. If it's a straightforward application, it can go through within a week.
Okay.
But if it's something that there's more complicated supporting documentation required, the student may take time to have to gather that. If there's something that the ministry has to review, a student who has a prior bankruptcy or consumer proposal,
Mhm.
those documents can take 10 to 12 weeks to be reviewed and approved. So we always encourage earliest as possible. Students that applied in mid-May when the application opened, they've got everything done now. They're just waiting for their assessment late June, and then they'll be good to go. They'll know well in advance of their tuition deadline how much they're getting and if they have to make any difference up.
Okay, perfect. And one more question. I'm not sure if you can answer this because for us, there's a $250 deposit that the students usually have to pay in advance before they pay their tuition fee.
Yeah.
I'm assuming usually that has to be like they have to make that payment before they apply for OSAP because I'm assuming their OSAP funding is not gonna be
They won't
which
have their OSAP for the deposit. The
okay,
deposit is always the student's responsibility to pay, so it's not something OSAP will cover.
okay,
However, OSAP does cover the full tuition. So the 250 goes towards the tuition, and then when the student is provided their OSAP funding, we're going to pay the balance of their tuition, and the rest is going to go to their bank account. So they do get reimbursed that, so to speak, when they get their OSAP funding. They are covered for it, but it's not something that OSAP will pay in advance because OSAP's not released until 10 days prior to the semester starting.
exactly. Okay, good to know. So students, they have to make sure to pay that deposit on time and by the
On
deadline to
time.
reserve the seat. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. And then,
And can I
so
add one more thing to that?
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, for the deposit. So for the fee information, the fee information is sent to the email address that's provided on your Ontario College's application. So if you don't check that email address regularly, make sure you do, or update your email with OCAS so that you get the fee information and you know when your deposit is due. We have students every year that miss the deposit date, and if their program's waitlisted, they go on the waitlist.
Yes, for sure. Very good advice. We do get that a lot. Unfortunately, people like sometimes the email might go to your spam folder or your junk folder. Please
Mm.
make sure to check your emails. Because yeah, you might potentially lose your seat, especially for highly competitive programs if you don't pay your deposit on time. Um, okay, and then my other question is, this is a bit specific, but so does the like when it comes to their documents, the ones that they have to upload, does it have to be printed and signed, or can they put an e-signature on them?
So for the student, they can do a digital signature through Adobe Fill and Sign,
Okay.
or the Adobe Digital Signature. However, for parents or spouses, it does have to be signed in ink. So they do have to print, sign, and then scan and upload. If you're having difficulties uploading, sometimes maximums get reached and the OSAP website can be a little tricky, you can email your documents to financial aid. We can optimize them and compress them and upload them for you. You can also mail them to us. Our mailing address is actually on the signature page documents when you print them. So it shows the financial aid office address to mail them to. So you can email them, upload their OSAP yourself, or mail them to us, or you can bring them in person.
Okay, awesome. And then my other question is like, can students make changes to their OSAP application? For example, if someone applies and then their situation changes, or for example, they found a job, or like any of their information would change, can they change it mid-program?
Yeah, so your OSAP application goes by academic year. So if you're applying for a 2-year, if you're attending for a 2-year program, you're going to have an OSAP application for the first year and an OSAP application for the second year. Once the student submits their OSAP application, they can no longer make changes, but we can make changes. So if they reach out to us through email, through phone, through coming in person, we can go through what documentation is required to make the changes and what we need.
Okay, perfect. And I'm assuming that can potentially change their funding as well, depending on what
Yeah.
information is changing. Okay.
Yeah. So it can
Um,
lower funding or it can increase funding. It all depends on the changes.
okay, so it's important for students to inform you guys of any changes if it happens.
Correct.
Okay. Um, one more question. I've heard that the students are paying, they're starting to pay back their loans usually 6 months after the program finishes. Is that still correct? They still
That's
have like the
correct.
6 months grace period and they start paying it back on a monthly basis.
Yeah, so they have the
Okay.
6-month grace. So for those 6 months, your federal funding remains interest free. There is interest gained on any provincial funding. So when your funding is assessed, you have a breakdown that you're shown of what is grant and loan and what is
Mhm.
federal and what is provincial. So then you can always monitor that on your National Student Loan Service Center account if you have had multiple OSAP applications, what your
Mhm.
total funding is. So you would know what is gaining interest and what's not. And
Okay.
if you have been a student in the past and you're currently making payments, then you're returning to school full time, you will have your previous loans put on hold and no interest accrued while you're a full-time student. The other thing to just advise for students that are in that situation is if you were starting back in September and you've been making payments on a previous OSAP loan, your last payment would be August 31st. We would be confirming your enrollment around that time as well. There's about a 2 to 3 week turnover through OSAP and the National Student Loan Service Center to mark you from a student that's currently in repayment to a current academic student to a student that's currently enrolled and for them to process that payment. So your
Mhm.
funding for that first installment can be delayed. So it's just important for students that are returning with previous loans to understand that there can be a break. A delay in your funding. I just always try to warn students so they're not expecting their OSAP the first week of September when it's going to be a couple weeks later in that situation.
Okay, sounds okay. I understand. So in that case, I would say if let's say a student wants to pay back their loans before the 6 months grace period, is that possible to kind of
Yeah.
avoid that interest? Okay, so
Yeah,
they can make
absolutely. As they can pay off their loans if they're able to as soon as they finish school. So if your last day of classes is April 23rd, you could pay your loans back if you have the means to April 24th without any penalty. If you made any payments while you're still in school, that money will just be refunded to you. So don't make any payments while you're still attending, but once you're done, you can make payments.
Okay, sounds good. And another question is that, like, I'm not sure if you know about this, but if a student cannot make their payments, 6 months, when they're supposed to make the payments, can they extend it? Like, can they reach out to maybe NSLC or OSAP and see if that?
Yeah, so they would have to reach out to NSLSC. So OSAP is the ministry body who you're applying for funding with, but your lender and everybody issuing the money is the National Student Loan Service Center. So all of your repayment discussions are all through NSLSC. You can log into your account with them and use private chat, a secure chat now feature so they know your account and it's safe to do so, or you can give them a call and they can go over the repayment options and repayment assistance options.
Okay, perfect. And one last question, actually. So, and I was just wondering, can students apply for our scholarships or even external scholarships and bursaries while they're receiving OSAP, or
Yes.
like, does it interfere? Okay.
So there's a spot when you fill out your OSAP application. It says, are you receiving any external bursaries or scholarships? So when you're filling out your OSAP application, you'll say yes or no to that and include the amount. Obviously, if you don't know that you are, you would say no. But if you receive any during the semester or the
Mhm.
academic year, you should be doing an update. So OSAP is advised.
Okay.
Any bursaries or scholarships issued by the college, we update your OSAP automatically. So there's nothing you need to do for Fleming ones.
Okay, sounds good. And actually, sorry, one last question. I forgot to ask. So this is also an important one. If a student doesn't apply, sorry, if they don't finish the program successfully, I'm assuming if they are receiving any grants, would it convert into a loan and they have to pay it back?
Yeah, so it depends. It depends on the situation, but if you withdrew early, then your OSAP would be prorated and updated accordingly. So you could see some grant to loan conversion. If you are unsuccessful academically for a year, you would be put on academic probation for OSAP, but there wouldn't be any changes to your funding as long as you completed those semesters. When you return to the next year, you would have to do academic probation paperwork for OSAP, and you would be on probation for that year. If you were unsuccessful 2 academic years in a row, you would be placed on restriction.
Mhm.
The other time you can be placed on academic probation is if you were funded for 1 or 2 semesters and you withdrew early, you'd be put on academic probation, plus you would possibly see grant to loan conversions.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, actually, thank you so much. Yeah, that was all of my
Okay.
questions. Yeah, so our contact information is also here. Like if you would like to reach out to us, our email address would be askus@flemingcollege.ca. This is our general recruitment email. If you would like to reach out to our financial aid office, if you have any questions regarding OSAP, financial aid, or just any questions about our scholarships and bursaries, feel free to reach out to our financial aid office directly, and one of our officers will be happy to help you. But I think that is it for today. We are on time, almost 12:30. But yeah, if there's anything else that you would like to mention, Amy, before we wrap this up.
Just make sure you reach out early to financial aid if you have questions. We're here to help. Even with bursaries, we want to help students get the bursaries. So if you have questions about the application or need assistance, please come in and see us. And any question, we're happy to answer. If there's no question too little, so please feel free to reach out.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much again. That was amazing. So this session is being recorded. We're gonna upload it later for the students from the future if you have any questions. But yeah, I'm gonna stop the recording and we're gonna wrap this up. Have a good afternoon, everyone.